Working Group Community Call. I got it. Yeah, welcome to everyone to the Eclipse IDE Working Group Community Call. Purpose of today, we've got some nice agenda items here, just a little introduction from myself, and then we'll quickly go through the working group program plan for 2023, which is similar to last year, but a few interesting changes. And then we'll move on with some updates from Johannes and Jonah. So that's the plan for today. Just a quick reminder about what the working group is all about. So we've been going now a couple of years, and the Eclipse Foundation launched this working group to put the spotlight and focus on the Eclipse IDE and the SIMRAIL. So our group is aiming to ensure aiming to ensure that these projects continue to be successful. I should make this smaller. And ensure these are successful into the future. So with that in mind, we're looking to grow and evolve the ecosystem, get more people involved, contributing, and create real true value for users developing the platform. So that's where we're working on. We've got various development efforts in progress. So by development efforts, we mean funded activity from the working group to help do this and help keep the platform healthy and move it in the right direction. The group is looking to keep the large market share that Eclipse has in certain domains and also increase it. So this isn't just about keeping things alive. This is about improving things into the future. And we have a new website, which I think mentioned at the last community call we had, but there it is again. Please go take a look. That's meant to be the homepage and the home of both the IDE and the working group itself. So that's just a reminder of what we're all about and what we're doing. These are the companies that are involved. So I think since the last time you saw that, Sagacity have joined us. Yeah, the more on the community aspect of things, I think, from Johannes. So I'm not going to say too much, but all I'll say at the moment is that it's a healthy number of companies and people involved, and with an interest to building into the future. And of course, more people are welcome, which is always a key point. So that's an introduction for the first part of today's meeting. The next part is moving on to the program plan. And to be honest with you, there's some overlap with what I've just said, but we'll work through it. So this is the 2023 Eclipse IDE Working Group Program Plan. So, like I said before, our current mission is the continued sustainability, but also not just that, the evolution of the Eclipse IDE and RCP suite of products. Now note, we also mention RCP. Lots and lots of companies are very dependent on RCP as well, not just the Eclipse IDE. And one of the missions which has changed a little bit, sorry, can someone put on mute, is to establish a strategy to deliver a commercial quality community-driven IDE. So that's a different slant on what we've said before, and something which we're focusing on, which is kind of UX and sort of a product level approach. And along with that, the Eclipse Foundation and the group provide an open governance, guidance and funding for these communities who are all delivering products and projects based on the Eclipse IDE. And finally, on this slide, the growth and evolution of the ecosystem is really important. So we need to build up the community and build up those people contributing and helping do these things. So that's our mission. So so from a strategic point of view, we're looking to provide development resources to do this commercial quality community driven IDE and extendable platform. And the way we're doing that is hopefully driving, increasing the engagement among all the different organizations that are in the community. This is an overview of our strategy. I'm not actually going to talk about this too much because there's subsequent slides on each of these. Okay, so the top level point, which I've already mentioned. So the commercial quality community driven IDE, we want to create a strategy for this so we can share with the community and grow funding and build a dedicated team to provide improvements and approach it from a product perspective and define a roadmap. So that's what we want to do to do this. In addition to that, the working group works very closely with the Planning Council. So the Planning Council recommend the development efforts which are highest priority and need attention, and perhaps attention that's not being provided by the community, and it needs special attention. So we can push funding and drive these efforts. In addition, we're looking at SimRail. We're looking at making it reliable, something we can all predict and rely on. So, for example, we're looking at projects which are not getting a lot of attention and contributions at the moment, and we continue the work with Ed as a release engineer to oversee SimRail and follow up on the critical items that need to be worked on and addressed. So that's continuing. And again, sort of looking at existing projects where if members need advice or guidance, we're there to help and provide additional help where required. So growth, and this is something which is incredibly important for our community, is to build from where we are and get more and more people contributing. So with that in mind, we aim for we're promoting the group and working hard to make sure everybody understands what we're doing and why and what's the advantages of becoming a member and so on. So we're trying to attract more members to the group. Everyone is welcome, and we're looking for at least one new strategic member and 2 sponsors in this year. And we're looking at other ways of growing donations. And in addition to that, we're looking at how to increase the user base. So what we are looking to outline and publish relevant use cases, good news stories of how the Eclipse platform and RCP is being used. Also doing technical demonstrations. I'm sure you're aware of our now regular webinar series, and this is all being done to generate interest and showcase some of the things which are going on. Of course, we'll continue programs in some of our conferences, but of course EclipseCon to really show off some of the things which are going on in the Eclipse IDE land and products that are built on top of it. So this growth is something which we are continuing to push forwards on. So regarding innovation, so we are collecting requirements in this area and looking at areas where we can push the core technology forwards. In addition to that, we're looking to lower the barriers. So I think this is kind of a common message, to make it easier to evaluate and use the Eclipse IDE technologies, and also newer UI technologies and frameworks. Finally, some ideas for planning for growth, and we look to publish white papers and blogs on how the Eclipse IDE is being used. That's part of the plan, and also the showcasing of those products at various conferences, for example, EclipseCon. and also looking to engage with universities to build up some build up the student community and intern community to build up the Eclipse IDE from the bottom up. So that's in a nutshell the program plan for 2023. Don't know whether it's a good opportunity to ask if there's any questions or any comments about that, whether we should move on.
We do have a open floor Q&A at the end of the presentation. So if there's no questions, maybe we can move on.
Let's move on.
And open that floor after Johannes and Jonah presents as well.
Okay, so in that case then, over to you, Johannes.
Okay, thanks, Mark.
I will stop the share.
Yeah, I think you have to stop the share and try to my screen. So you should now see my screen, my presentation. So also welcome from my side. Just a short introduction from me. I'm Johannes. I work for Vector. I'm in the steering committee of the IDE Working Group since September 2021, also some months after the group was founded. And I'm also currently an elected member, contributing member representative at the Eclipse Board of Directors. So if you have any questions and reminds there, please don't hesitate to contact me. And first of all, I would like to thank you all. Thank you all for being here, attending this call, for all your contributions you have made to the Eclipse IDE, what you have done all these years already. I see several old hands here in the call. So thanks for that. And I also want to thank Eclipse Foundation for enabling us doing this, continuing. And of course, I also want to thank all the members of the steering committee. I really enjoy working with you pretty much and to see how far and where are we going in this case. And the question is, what brought me to think about this and to say thank you? That's from a comic I really like when you talk about free and open source software. It shows a modern digital infrastructure, and all of you know in the call that we really rely on open source software, and Eclipse is open source and it's a good thing to contribute and work together. And there is always somebody who's never said thank to you. And so this is the reason for saying thank you. And we can really apply it to Eclipse and to our project. And if you talk to managers and try to convince them to use an open source, so you have to be sure about the risk in open source, and there must be invests, because open source is not free. It's just to get the source code, but someone has to do it, and there must be investments. So we all know this, but it's, I think, a good idea to take this one to your management if you want to raise some funds and investments. If you compare it to the Eclipse IDE, we actually do have some project. I mean, you all know it. Gerald is on the call. If you look on the Babel project, it's maintained by Gerald. And he told me, okay, I'm support from Dennis, but if you look on the commits, it's just Gerald, so he needs support. And we think we see a lot of other projects in the IDE who need or will need more assistance and more help. And as a community, it is on us to drive the Eclipse IDE. Nobody else will come and help us. Eclipse Foundation will enable us doing it, but to drive the community, that's on us. And we see, in addition to this, a lot of trends coming around in the market. So especially in hyping about the artificial intelligence support, that's something we probably need to come in our products, and we need to think about it also and about UI UX updates, easy access, fast workspace, additional technologies, or everything going to cloud IDE. These all things that we should think about when you talk about IDEs. But the question is, and that's what we are standing here, a discussion is how to should we write everything new, just throw it away, or to improve what we have and address these topics. And that's the point where we see the the working group, as it was founded, as Mark said and stated, it's for the integrity, evolution, and adoption of the ID and the platform for products and related technologies. So when we were founded in 2021, we started the development funding initiative. You can see it on our webpage, and what was the investments. When you come to 2022, as Mark also said, we were able to hire Ed in a way to secure simultaneous release. So currently that's what we do. And we continue with the development funding initiative. And to be honest, we think that's not enough for the ongoing success of the Eclipse ID. So that's why we cannot fulfill our strategy as a working group right now. And we come off with intensive talks and exchanges. And what we see, and for us, members of the working group and most connected companies here, we would like to continue to base our products on the Eclipse ID and platform as for foreseeable future. And you would like to invest to incrementally maintain, so to secure the future, keep the fire burning, but as Mark stated, also to go even further. And if you get more interest by this and by you and all other companies, and even interest more people, we can improve it in the long run. But because the question is, we have invested in currently our product so much, so what do we do when we just rewrite it again? Do we just have another product with the same thing ends? So we think that there is a lot of good things inside the Eclipse ID and the platform that should be kept. We don't for sure throw it away. And there was success for 20 years, and we would like to continue on working there. And everybody knows that's not just coming from talking, it's also from doing. So in the working group, we have several companies, I just name it down there, who want to increase their invest in the areas. You see us here talking as a on-site meeting in Frankfurt. You might have seen it also prior in some social media channels of us. And all these companies will invest in the next month. So to give you a ballpark number, so that what you can expect or what we will do in these points, we currently the progress to ramp up 12 developers, so as a ballpark number, working full time. But what does it mean? It also that they depends on the model that company choose to it can also be change every day or whatever. So that's what we can count it. Development will be focused on the Eclipse top level project, and of course in the sub project starting from platform JDT, focusing on UI and other improvements. What we have also seen some talks on the Eclipse Con last year. And for me, it's obviously already visible that we have new contributors and new committer. So thank you for helping us bringing those colleagues on. And we see also more activity of existing contributors and committers. So thank you for that, for these contributions. And we also see other companies already doing more or bringing up new people in the group. So that's great. Thanks for that. Thanks for this. And we also will put in additional sponsorships for the ID Working Group. The first was received, I think, last week. First thing. So when I looked on the amount, it was 145,000 euro for the for this year, and now it's a cliffhanger for Jonah. This amount is now bigger, and it will grow even further. But it's on this decide on the working group and on some tax things, how many money we'll receive there in the end. So I'm not sure how many I can say, but there will be additional funds available. And if you are interested in working there, please contact Paul Bach from the foundation. But this will also be stated in the next talk, so I don't want to spend more time on this. And how should this work, bringing in 12 new developers, driving initiatives? For us, it's key that we do it in a transparent way, then discuss it with you. So we have to ensure that the proposed work is discussed with the relevant projects. Risk might be identified to challenge our success. So we want to intensify the talk with the planning council, do a regular call every quarter to discuss initiatives and what is planned, to attract and coordinate the colleagues there. We will try to do as good as we can. The roadmap is visible with the identified work and align with you, of course. We will work on GitHub as we think as the processes are established, so there won't be new processes around. So if there's something going wrong in your mind, please don't hesitate to contact us, because in some cases we are new people involved. So just let us know and let's exchange, because it's on us to work here together. And going from the collaboration model, we also see that community management is a key success factor for us, also stated there, and we have already seen that it is not so easy for me to say to go for new contributors. So we have new people coming in now, and we use their experience to make it easier and show it. And you can follow this issue as an umbrella issue to improve the accessibility and to guide new people, as we think that there will be new people coming in, and we hope so. And we also want to build bridges to also projects. I think we are not in contact with many of you, with some, the core project I would name it, but not with all. So if you are interested, don't hesitate to contact with us so that we can speak and exchange. We also want to provide information and materials and to convince the managers for new members companies to attract these colleagues also joining, because I think we can now describe a way how to join and why to do it and what we want to reach. We also want to connect to other working groups, for example, Adoptium, how to exchange and work with Java and test case, for example. For us, it's also necessary or a good thing to establish something like health measurement statistics, so that we can understand which projects are healthy and what about pull requests, because what I've faced in my experience for my developers, they said, oh, I have done some changes and they were not even seen, or nobody was answering to this request. And that's something we would be aware of and see. And to enable it, we have decided to create a new subcommittee that was approved in the last steering committee for community management. And this will be established soon. We have to adjust the charter, so this will be an ongoing process. So that's another thing that we will do. And to move forward, what is next for 2023? Because as stated before, it's not just talking, saying nice things today. We start with this community call today, and I'm really, really happy to announce this next event. We have the approval from SAP that they will host the hackathon on 5th of July in Waldorf, Germany. I'm really, really happy that this can happen there. So thanks, colleagues, for organizing and helping. Everything will be set up with Eclipse Foundation. Application details will follow. I mean, that's a key event for us to get in touch with you. And if you have new colleagues who are interested in working, bring them there. That's a good event, in our opinion, to bring new people in, all hands on to access and, of course, exchange. I'm really looking forward to seeing you there. And today is a save the date announcement. In addition to that, we will continue our strategy and vision discussions on this IDE steering committee. So we also have a possibility, but we haven't discussed it in the steering committee, whether we do it or not, but there is also a possibility around to take a day before or after for another meeting, which we do on site. And so we will invest more time because we appreciate it. We want to see us really often and exchange our thoughts to drive things forward. In addition to that, we're looking to for EclipseCon already and planning, and there is the, as you might have seen, proposals is open. So to submit papers, so if you are interested in your projects, that's a really good thing to promote your project there and bring experiences out. We will organize a community day. We'll try to do some presentations as well. That's also, I would like to encourage you to present there. We are also thinking about doing additional hackathon there. We have to, don't have the plans fixed yet, but we're thinking on this. And of course, then we have, again, exchange and strategy and collaboration. And we will do, as stated before, we try to do it every quarter, something like in the end of the year. We would try to meet us again to continue our discussion. So we have set up a plan to meet us and to drive it really forward. So, and how could you contribute and of course get in touch with us? Of course, continue please your contributions to the Eclipse IDEs. They are really valuable and we're really thankful for this. Continue this or encourage other people doing this. And if you are not already contributing at some changes back, please do so. Another option is, of course, would be great to see some of you in the board here of the IDE Working Group. So become a member. And why should you become a member? Of course, you can take part in this discussion of vision and strategy. You can decide about the development initiatives and how the money of the working group is spent. As stated before, this amount of money will increase and you are among the others there. Of course, and interact with us, strategic members on a regular basis, exchange about technologies. We really learn a lot from each other. And of course, another thing assures that channel work gets done. So build is running, SimRel is working, everything is funded. And so most of you, when you build a product, you rely on this. So memberships there is absolutely key in my opinion and really beneficial. You can use these email addresses for membership, or you can always contact us as a working group in the working group steering, contact all of us here and then we can help and organize. Also, if you have somebody who is interested or unsure and has questions, don't hesitate to contact us. And if you think, okay, that's a good way what they're working, you just continue in the sponsorship. If you rely on the IDE and just say, okay, I think that's a good way colleagues are working for us, you can have the go to Eclipse.org sponsor or sign a sponsorship agreement. Everything's linked here. And again, it is on us as a community to assure and describe the future of the Eclipse IDE. Nobody else will help us, but we can do it. So thank you for this. I think we have shown that we will really try to push the Eclipse IDE forward. Thank you for your attention. Thanks a lot. And I think for some question, I'll move on to Jonah after you, Sharon or Mark. Thank you.
Thanks, Johannes. Thanks for the presentation. It's really good. Let's move on. Jonah, over to you.
Good afternoon and morning and everyone. Let me just share my screen. Oh, I have to wait, Johannes, till you stop.
I try to do it, so somebody else can help me out there. I will need some minute.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so let's see if we can pull my one up now. There we go. I hope you can all, whoops, that did not go right. Okay, I have lost absolutely everything.
It looked okay to me. Jonah?
Did it? Because everything disappeared on my screen except Zoom. Give me 1 second, everyone. I apologize for the delay. And
no worries, Jonah, don't worry.
Otherwise, one of us could share it for you as well, if that's helpful.
Okay, I may ask for that in a second. Let's try that. Can you all see it now?
Looks good.
Looks
Okay,
great.
I won't press I won't press the show slideshow button. I think that's what made everything blow up. So I'll just show it like this. Anyway, good morning and good afternoon, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jonah Graham. I am the Planning Council Chair and the Planning Council as part of the IDE Working Group, although the Planning Council itself has existed from before the IDE Working Group existed, but it is now part of the IDE Working Group. And the Planning Council is involved in the scheduling and coordination across projects that make up the Eclipse IDE and the simultaneous release. So, we define what the requirements are to be part of SIMREL. We coordinate release dates across projects. And one of our important tasks now with the IDE Working Group is we help direct where the money that the IDE Working Group is investing is spent on. And today I'm going to first tell you a little bit about the overall process that working groups at the Eclipse Foundation use to do funding, to do this kind of funding, and give you some specifics about how the IDE Working Group. I'd like to thank Paul. He put together this presentation, and so some of you may have seen an earlier version of this at EclipseCon last fall, and I've adapted it and updated it for us today. All right, so the IDE Working Group, the way we do our funding is we're using the Working Group Development Effort Guidelines, and that allows us to take our development money and with a bit of a process, make sure that money is spent on what the working group wants and goes to to developers in a fair and transparent way and spent on the right things. So, we're looking at doing enhancements of the IDE across any area, figuring out places where, tragedy of the commons, there's the core parts of Eclipse which are under invested in but actually still need work and stuff like that. So that's where we're looking at investing money in, and that's what it's designed for. The Eclipse Foundation itself is the one that actually does all of the governance and management of the money, and also the hiring of the people. So it's not the Eclipse IDE Working Group that hires people, it's the Eclipse Foundation that actually hires the contractors. The Eclipse Foundation and has a high openness thing, right? The whole idea of open source, we want to be open and transparent, and the idea of this funding is it should be done in an open and transparent way. So that's one of the main principles. We're not trying to replace what's happening in the community. We're trying to complement, supplement, find the spaces that need adding. But really, this works best is if we can set up, a multiplying effect. If we can invest a small amount of money to reinvigorate a project or to sort out release engineering, so a whole bunch of people can actually get the real work done and not be held back, then that's a really valuable multiplying effect we can do. So as Mark presented, we have an overall working group plan, and so we need to make sure that we are allocating the funds to address those issues. Transparent engagement, we're talking about openness still, and there's some summaries provided on how that money is spent, reported back to the steering committee and to the wider audience. So as I mentioned, even though it's sort of the working group's money, the working group has the Eclipse Foundation actually doing all of the hiring, the contracting itself. So, as members of the Eclipse Working Group, we don't hire people ourselves. And that applies to, finding the people in the first place and stuff like that. That's all the responsibility of the Eclipse Foundation. The Eclipse Foundation is more than welcome and glad to have, pointers in the right direction, if you know someone or you are someone who can do this work, please get in touch. As many of you know who are working in companies on Eclipse, finding very qualified people who have Eclipse and Java knowledge can be difficult, and we're always keen to find people with such expertise. So the Eclipse Foundation has staff that work on it. That's Paul and Sharon who do that work. And the working group designates people to work with on this process. And that's, for now, that's me and Martin. This is kind of going through the process that any of these contracts go through. So the first step is identifying what work needs to happen. We go through a bid solicitation, a contract process. So the bids go out. The bids themselves are confidential, but so you've hopefully seen over the last year or so a few emails go out to various Eclipse mailing lists looking for people to apply to do this work. Recently on the P2 security, in the past on the dark mode, on release engineering. So once those bids come in, the Eclipse Foundation evaluates the bids and awards a contract. Hopefully we find someone that can do it and awards a contract, and set up an agreement between the Eclipse Foundation and the service provider. And then the contractor will do the work and have all the deliverables that were identified as required to achieve this outcome. And then at the end, the payment and the contract gets closed. A little bit later, I'll show you where we are with some of these that are in progress and have completed. All right, so as I mentioned, so that was general Eclipse IDE Working Group. Sorry, that was general how the development funding. Let me show you how it applies to the Eclipse IDE Working Group. So we have the steering committee delegates. That's me and Martin. The Eclipse Foundation staff works on this, and that's Paul and Sharon. The working group funding is looking, up to now has been working on things like SimRail architecture and release engineering. I'm sure you all know Ed and all the work he's doing. So some of that now is being funded by the working group. And then other engineering and development initiatives. So I'll go through what's been happening there in a moment. And the IDE Working Group Steering Committee is delegated to the Eclipse Planning Council to identify what the priorities are for this development. So here's how much money we've had for the last few years. So in 2021, we started with the first year we had about 49,000 euros to spend. We managed to grow that in 2022 to 164, and we've grown that again already, even in early 2023, to 183,000 euros to spend. Oops. Paul?
Oh, okay. Now, there we go. Hey, so I do want to take a moment here to thank Renaissance and Mark Goodchild and the team from the working group and the foundation for a recent financial contribution that came in through a sponsorship agreement that helped substantially with regards to providing funds that will be used for the dev effort initiative that Jonah has taken us through. So thanks, Mark. Thanks, Renaissance, and look forward to putting the funds to work on behalf of the IDE, and as well, if any other organizations that are out there that are interested in making contributions and having them be put to work in sustaining and enhancing the IDE, then by all means, feel free to contact me directly.
All right, thank you, Paul, and thank you, Renaissance. So, where is that money been going to? And so start giving an indication of where that money can be spent going forward as well. So I just pulled out a few of the recent highlights from the last few months. So a bunch of work has been done and is still ongoing on better Maven integration. So the M2E project has been around for a while, and there's been a few usability pain points that haven't been addressed, and now a bunch of them are getting addressed. So each one of these is a link to a different bug that's been fixed recently, to hopefully give our users in that space a better experience. Another item is that especially with the GPG change for security for P2, the Eclipse Foundation hired a consultant of an analysis to do a security review in P2, and so that's now been implemented, including fixing some CVEs along there, and that should provide a better security experience. So you can follow through for the links on there to see the details of that, but you should see, I guess, most of those in the 2023-06 release. And then we have ongoing release engineering and management. So one exciting thing is we might have Dependabot at some point. The first version of that work has been done, and hopefully that will be pushed through. There's been some improved infrastructure for consuming the Maven artifacts. Now with the GPG signing, I won't go into long details about GPG versus jar signing here, but there's been improvements there. And the IDE Working Group is funding specifically release engineering work on the platform, SimRel, and Tycho at the moment. Here's all of the issues that I've completed in progress with a bit more detail. I'm not going to go through these now. I'll mostly cover them. I just want to give you an idea. At the bottom, there's a link to the GitLab development board. It looks like this. And so you can see where we are with different issues. And this is where you can see our process that we mentioned earlier. The first column is the identified contracts that we're going to do. And with the new funding that's come through now, I look forward to our planning call next Wednesday for the Planning Council, so we can fill out this a bit more and spend some of that money. There's no items which are under bid solicitation now, but hopefully there will be again very soon. You can see which are the active contracts that are being worked on, and if you go through them, you can see who is working on them and links to the underlying GitHub or Bugzilla bugs for them, and then the fully closed ones end up on the right hand side here. So there's a lot of opportunities to in here. Anyone who's looking to be able to do work, we're looking for people to do things like reviewing PRs. That's that multiplication effect. We're looking for Eclipse current and past committers, and other people experience the IDE to get involved here. Reach out to me or reach out to Paul, or go read more about it on the website that's linked at the bottom here. Next slide. It's just a thank you. Thank you everyone for coming and hearing about this. And I'm really excited for the future of having this focused funding on pain points in the IDE and these commons areas that could be otherwise neglected. So let me turn it back over to Mark and I guess the Q&A.
Thank you, Jonah. Thanks for the presentation. Yeah, it's over to open discussion or any Q&A. Anyone got any questions or anything that struck them whilst listening? Now's the time. So over to you guys. Is there anything you'd like to bring up?
It looks like there's a question in the chat.
So Andre, I'll go ahead, Jonah, you go for it. You answer.
Yeah, so I'll make sure that's more clearly linked. Thank you. The page in my presentation, I think does have that link, but if not, I'll make sure it's there.
Thanks, Jonah. Anyone else?
Yes, I would have a question.
Hans, go for it.
Yes, because as about if it would be possible to spend some money, for example, to buy some additional data storage from GitHub, for example, for a large file system storage. Because for SWT, there was a discussion about switching to Git large file storage. and these files have to be large files have to be stored somewhere. And unfortunately, GitHub only provides a quite or relatively small amount of storage for free, and it would make the SWT repository structure simpler, because we wouldn't have to split the binaries anymore into a separate repository, and at the same time could maintain a quicker repository clonings and build pipelines. And that's the reason why it was it was the idea to use large file storage, but this default storage provided for free will probably not be sufficient. And there could be the storage could be hosted alternatively, for example, at the Eclipse Foundation infrastructure, but it would be probably more complex to set up. I've looked a bit into this, and it could have some corner cases that would not work, but it should work somehow, but would be more complex. And so the question would be if it would be possible, for example, to buy or to purchase from GitHub some additional data storage that should be sufficient for that case. In this specific case, it would, for example, be cost $5 a month. So not much money, but I think the biggest problem would probably be to pay the first dollar. And as a general question, it's not worked out yet, but it would be an option, and it would be interesting if this would be possible in general.
Any comments from anyone? I'm not quite sure how to answer that. I guess it's something we can look into.
Okay.
It sounds like it's doable if it's what you want to, if it makes sense and what the SWTT needs to be productive.
It would be one option, and it would maybe also be interesting, for example, to store the Equinox binaries. So
Hans, can you send me an email on that topic?
Sure. Yeah.
And then I don't know, I understand all the full implications in this context. And then I'll make sure it comes through either the Planning Council or the Steering Committee directly. So
there is a GitHub discussion already. I will send you a link to that. Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you.
I didn't want to go into the details now.
No, please don't. That was not the. You're right.
Okay,
Thanks,
great.
Hans.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. Thanks for that. Any other questions or comments or open floor? Anything is good. Maybe not. Well, with that in mind, we can perhaps close up, but I would just remind, I think some of the contact details have been shared today. So if anything does crop up or you think of something after the call, which is always happens to me, I close the call and think of something straight away. Please don't hesitate to reach out and contact us, and we're here to help. So, yeah.
I think there's another question in the chat, Mark.
Would be great if maybe a dedicated page with the open tasks, etc., could be useful, like planning.
If the replies in that, me and Andre are talking.
Oh, right, okay.
Forth under there. Yeah. So for Michael's question, I think all these presentations, we'll send them out, and I suspect the IDE Working Group mailing list is probably the best place to subscribe to keep on top of things like the hackathon details. Is that right?
I would say so. Johannes, any comments? Does that
Yeah.
sound good?
Sounds good to be on the working group mailing list, because there will a lot information be shared, and you also got the minutes. Will be publish our minutes every 2 weeks, I think. So Sharon always says that we are really pretty good in these things. So you can follow our discussions there and keep up to date. And of course, we will use the common social media channels to publish and to announce the dates, what exactly things, and news channels on the Eclipse website to make some advertisements for our hackathon there.
Yeah, for sure. And just to kind of add to that, so while it's heading towards the end of April, we are all starting to think about EclipseCon. It will be upon us fast, so we're already thinking about the planning, and then it was mentioned here, a hackathon. There will be more details coming as we move into the summer timeframe, but we are planning and we will be communicating. So do join, if you're not already on it, the Eclipse IDE Working Group mailing list, because that is indeed where we will be making sure that we get all the communication out so that we can get your engagement and support as we move towards that. Thanks.
And to add for this, I think we are really earlier than last time in discussions on these points, and it's really good to share these dates already, because you have to fix up, plan your travel dates, and so save the date. And we have the approval to do it, so it will happen. And again, I'm really happy that we can do such an event again to show that that we are, I would say, alive and reactivating this project with all of you. And I'm really happy with you all to write this story again.
Thanks, Johannes. Okay. So Jonas very kindly put in a link there to subscribe, where you subscribe to the mailing list. And Sharon's put a link to the updated EclipseCon website, so please check them out. Any more questions? I think not. So thanks so much, everybody. Thanks so much for your time. Thank you to everyone that presented. That's really appreciated as well. And we'll keep in touch, and we'll see you all again soon. Thanks so much,
See you,
everyone.
Everyone,
Thank you.
bye.
Bye for
care.
now.
Thank you. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.